There's a guy on Reddit who made a spreadsheet to track his friendships. He logged how often he talked to each person, how much value they added to his life, how interesting they were, how loyal they seemed. He color coded it. Green meant kept, yellow meant on the fence, red meant cut. The comments were full of people saying, "Yo, this is actually really smart." And that's the moment I started thinking something had gone seriously wrong. We live in an era where everything gets optimized: your sleep, your diet, your morning routine, your career trajectory, your dating strategy. There's a subreddit, a productivity system, a YouTube video, a course, or a coach, like for literally all of it. And somewhere along the way, that energy leaked into friendship. Now, there are guides on how to become more charismatic, frameworks for building a high value social circle, advice on how to identify which relationships are worth investing in and which ones are dragging you down. The phrase friend maxing exists now, unironically. I get why it's appealing. You can optimize your body. Why not your social life? If you could systematically get better at chess or cooking or public speaking or Minecraft, surely you can get better at making friends. Here is the problem: you can't. Or more accurately, trying to will make you worse at it. There's something called the mere exposure effect. The basic finding is almost embarrassingly simple. We tend to like things more just because we're exposed to them repeatedly, not because of any particular quality they have, just because they were there right in front of us. Now, this applies to music, to food, to objects, and most powerfully, to people. There's a related idea called the proximity effect. One of the single strongest predictors of whether two people will become close friends is simply how often they're in the same physical space. Not personality compatibility, not shared interests, not how strategically either person pursued it, just proximity and repetition, which means most of your closest friendships were almost entirely accidental. Think about it. Think about your best friend, or whoever comes first to mind when someone says close friend. How did that happen? I bet it wasn't because you both filled out a compatibility questionnaire. It wasn't because you evaluated each other's social value. It wasn't because one of you had exceptional networking skills. You probably sat next to each other in class, or ended up in the same friend group, or became coworkers, or lived in the same building. Maybe you were on the same team, or just kept showing up to the same places at the same times. You didn't build that friendship, you fell into it. Sit with that for a second. Because if that's true, and I think it is, then the whole framework of optimizing your social life is solving the wrong problem entirely. You weren't strategic, you weren't impressive, you happened to be there, and so did they, and something grew out of it almost by accident. And the things that's deepened it, they weren't optimized either. It was the inside jokes that started from something embarrassing, the long, boring drives where you talked about nothing and everything at the same time, the time you were both stuck somewhere and had nothing to do, the moments that weren't Instagram worthy or particularly productive or impressive in any way, just time, like just ordinary time. Here's where the optimization mindset starts to break things. When you approach friendship as a system to be improved, you start treating people like resources. You start asking, is this person interesting enough? Are they successful enough? Are they going to add something to my life? Or are they just going to be a drain? And the moment you're asking those questions, you've already left the territory of friendship. You're doing something else, something colder, because real friendship is not transactional. It's not a two-way exchange of social capital. It's a portfolio you curate. Like the best friendships I've ever seen, including my own, happen when you're not evaluating the other person at all, when you're just present with them, when you're not thinking about whether this relationship is optimized because it never even occurs to you to think about it that way. Like the second you start holding a clipboard and taking notes, something gets lost. And here's the really uncomfortable part, like other people can feel it. When you're with someone and they're calculating you, even subtly, you sense it. There's something slightly off about how they engage, like something slightly performative. They're managing the interaction instead of participating in it. They're thinking about the impression they're leaving while the conversation is still happening. That's what performing connection actually looks like in real life. It's not obvious, it's not fake laughs and hollow compliments. It's just a person who is never quite fully there because part of them is always watching from the outside, making adjustments and running these calculations. And you could feel the absence of them when they're standing right in front of you. Real connection requires the opposite of that. It requires you to stop managing and just show up, to be genuinely unguarded, even when that's uncomfortable. That's what it means. The moments that actually bond people together are almost always the ones where someone stopped performing and accidentally became real. But you can't manufacture that, you can't schedule it, and you definitely can't optimize your way into it. I want to be honest with you about something, okay? I don't have a lot of close friends, like a real number. Like, I have a handful, like maybe 3 or 4 people I genuinely let in that I'm close with. And I've spent years thinking that was a problem, thinking like, oh, like I don't have this crazy group of friends. I don't have this crazy circle. There's this cultural pressure, especially when we're younger, to be popular, like to be well liked, to have a big group, to never be the person sitting alone. Like I tried to fight it for a while. Like I went to more social events. I was more outgoing. I said yes to things I didn't want to do. Like I was trying to be interesting to more people, and I tried to make more people like me, and that just made me feel more lonely. Like not less, but more, even when I was just surrounded by people. And that's because there's like a particular kind of loneliness that's specific to being surrounded by people who don't really know you. Like when you're performing yourself for an audience instead of existing around people who've already seen you at your worst moments and stuck around anyway, like that's not connection. It's exhausting. Like the shift happened for me was when I stopped trying to expand and just started investing like in the people who are already there, the ones I didn't have to perform for, the ones where conversations could go on for like 3 hours with none of us noticing. Like I stopped trying to keep everyone close and started trying to keep like the right people close. And I've never been happier. There's a thought experiment I want you to sit with, okay? Imagine your life at 75. You're old, the hustle's over, your career doesn't matter anymore. What you have is who you have. Who are you calling? Probably not your most strategically chosen contacts. It's probably not the people you networked with at the right conferences, and it's probably not the people who made your social circle look impressive on paper. It's the people you've just met, like been through things with, the ones who knew who you were, like when you were a mess, the ones that were there for you for the boring fucking Tuesday nights that turned into something meaningful because they were there for you. That's what you're building right now, like whether you realize it or not. Oh, I want to push back on something, okay? Because I know like what some people are thinking. But social skills are learnable, like being more open, more warm, more present, like those are things you could practice. Isn't that a form of optimization? And yes, but that's not really what I'm talking about. There's a difference between becoming a better version of yourself and treating a friendship like a system to be engineered, okay? So becoming more honest, becoming more emotionally valuable, less defensive, more present, those things can make you a better friend, but they work by making you more real, not more strategic. The optimization trap is when you start thinking about friendship from the outside in, when you're trying to present a better version of yourself to attract better quality friendships, when you're managing how you come across instead of just being who you are. Like real growth in friendships is inside out. It's about becoming someone you'd want to be around, not about strategically positioning yourself. The difference in this is subtle, but I believe it's everything. You know, like what builds friendships faster than almost anything? Boredom. Not events, not structured activities, not meetups. Boredom. Unstructured time with another person where there's no agenda, no performance pressure, and nothing to do except exist right next to each other. That's when real conversation happens. That's when accidental vulnerability happens. That's when you find out that you both have the same specific weird opinion about something nobody cares about, and suddenly there's a spark that no amount of social strategy like could have manufactured. Like modern life is almost designed to eliminate this. Everyone is scheduled, everyone has their phone. Social time is increasingly like events with a purpose, like hangouts with an end time, plans with an agenda. And I wonder if like sometimes like part of it is why so many people feel so lonely despite technically connected to hundreds of people at all times. Like we've optimized the inefficiency of our social lives, and the inefficiency, it was just load bearing. But here's what I think the biggest lie the internet is that sold us about friendship, if that makes sense. I think I messed up that wording, but you guys get what I'm saying. Like, okay, like the biggest lie the internet sold us is that more is better, okay? More connections, bigger network, more followers, more people know your name, but they don't think about how any of that correlates with how lonely you actually feel when like you're alone and something difficult happens and you need someone to talk to. What I've noticed in my own life and watching the people around me is that the happiest people aren't the ones with the biggest social circles. They're the ones with a small number of relationships where the depth is almost unreasonable, where there's history, where you've accumulated enough ordinary time together that you stop having to explain yourself because they already know. The people who matter the most in your life probably won't be the most impressive people you met. They'll be the ones who simply just kept showing up. Like 3 people could call you at 2 a.m., okay? Without feeling like you're imposing. That's the number that matters, not 200 acquaintances who'd like your photo. So like, what do you actually do with this? I think the answer is simpler than less satisfying than any optimization system. You just have to show up, like repeatedly, without a reason, without an agenda. Just show up. Text the person you've been meaning to text. Make the plan you've been putting off. Say the honest thing instead of the polished thing. Like, stop evaluating whether someone is worth investing in and just invest in the people who are already there, in the people who you already like, in the relationships that already have some warmth in them. Like, create proximity, shared time, like unstructured hours. Like, let the awkward moments pass and just let familiarity like build the way it actually builds, like slowly and accidentally through these ordinary days. Like, you could optimize your calendar, you could optimize your diet, you could optimize your workout, your budget, your sleep schedule, your productivity system, but you can't optimize your way to a best friend. The person who ends up knowing you better than almost anyone else on earth, they probably won't be someone you strategically pursued. They'll be someone who just kept showing up, who's just around you all the time, someone who accidentally spent enough ordinary, like unmemorable, unproductive days together that they stopped feeling like someone you know and started feeling like someone you need. Like, that's not a system, it's not a strategy, that's just time. And maybe the whole problem is that we've forgotten that time is the only thing that actually works.